we are not starting with the Olympic Games. We want to leave the Olympic Games for the latter stages of sports tonight. Tonight, I want to start the show by introducing to you some very special persons. One you see every week about this time on Thursdays on Sports Tonight, but one you don't see all the time. It's a very big privilege for us to have him here with us. He's the only African that is the president of an NBA club. That's how big it is. That's how important it is to us. And we're happy that he's sitting right here in our studios. Let me introduce Masai Ujiri. He's the president, or you like call him general manager, Toronto Raptors of the NBA. He joins us on Sports Tonight. Masai, we're happy to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's a different environment for you right here because you're always sitting with NBA top stars and top managers, but you're sitting right with us in Channel's TV studios today.
Yeah, you guys are stars. I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah, thank you for honoring our invitation. And of course, you know the guy seated to my far right. Yes, I'll need to introduce him. He doesn't need too much of an introduction. You see him every Thursday. Femi Adefeso is also on the show. Femi, good to have you on Sports Tonight.
Always a pleasure to be here.
All right, so we are happy to have this. It's clear we're starting off the show tonight with basketball and a lot of basketball. So let me start off let me start from the top. From the Olympic Games. It's not every day that you see Masai Ujiri in our studios. So let's tap all that we can from him by asking about the Olympic Games. I'm sure the games are still going on. Spain, US, Australia, and Serbia are the final four teams. But in the mix, there's a Nigeria somewhere, D Tigers. How would you describe the D Tigers at the Olympic Games?
I actually thought they had a respectable showing. I think when people think about the Olympic Games and where the program has come from, I feel when it comes to basketball itself, I think we made a low jump. I think sometimes people forget that when you operate on national teams, it takes a while to build. Any program takes a while to build. So if you go back to maybe the achievements of the last 4 or 5 years, well, we attended the Olympics in London. We won the African Championships 2 years ago or last year. I can't even remember. And now we're in the Olympics. We won a game, so there's progress. We didn't instead of the last 10 years when we kind of disappeared and we're dominated. The other part, organization and some of the things we need to work on, those are issues, but I think the basketball, there's a little bit of progress.
All right, Femi, let me come to you about the games to be played in the semifinals. Is there any need for us to get about who should be winning for the men particularly? Clearly, the favorites are the Americans. I don't expect that Spain will pose too much of a threat. Are they good for gold?
Yeah, be careful when you say the US team is actually good for gold, because this by far has been the toughest challenge, for them, since they've been coming to the Olympic Games. The games have gotten closer and closer.
But they're here with a bunch of young boys.
And they need some extra, from some of the stars, to get through. Although, yes, you might say the last game against Argentina was one-way traffic right from the beginning, to the end. But a team like Spain, who started poorly, are beginning to gather momentum. So it's a very dangerous team, to play against, particularly by the fact that they also have, after the US, the largest number of NBA players on their roster at the Olympic Games. So these are familiar foes, you may want to put it, that way. So it's really going to be tough against Spain. But I think they have what it takes. But it will be really tough. The other game will be Australia against Serbia. I think those are unarguably the two rising forces of basketball at the moment. The Australian team for me has been
pushed the Americans in the group game.
Yes, almost winning that game. And they look like the best team. Let's not look at the US now, but the best of the rest I think has been Australia. In the Olympic event, so they look good. Also with some NBA players, Matthew Dellavedova, Aaron Barnes, as well, Andrew Bogut and Patty Mills, who caught fire. That guy can shoot the ball, if you give him a chance. They'll be playing Serbia too, who are very decent. They have a certain Bogdanovic, who also plays in the NBA and has been doing pretty well for Serbia. By the way, their female team too is also in the semi-final, so that goes to show that Serbia is doing something right, with the basketball. It will be interesting to watch tomorrow when the semi-finals for the men take place. But tonight, of course, the women will be on song to play their own semi-finals games. US against France, I think US will win that. No one has come close to them. Serbia against Spain, that will be a very, very tough one to call.
Okay, let me stay with you on the women's game and use that to draw some comments from you. Our guys have been to the last Olympics, not same for the women. What do we need to do to also get our girls to be playing at this level?
It's a program that we need to build, and I think generally sometimes we need to look at things from even the youth level. How do we build programs that and build competitions, build a platform for people to perform, and I think that's something we lack, because once the Olympics is over, then where do we go? We tend to forget everything, and then as people say, we always use the fire brigade approach. I think that's the word used here, and it sets us back, because now we should have some momentum, and this should help, whether it's women's basketball or youth basketball, and develop programs that are going to continue rather than forget until the next competition.
Let me start with you, Masai, and talk about developing the game. Since you've hinted on developing the game, how do we draw on the positives from the Olympics, for example? Playing against some of the top nations in the world, the nations in the top 5, and having very close games, losing 9 points to some of these teams. How do we draw on those positives to impact on domestic basketball? Because a lot of people ask the questions, yes, we're pushing the top teams in the world, but where is our league in all of this? And these are critical questions that we can't just wish away.
It's huge. We lack competition in the country at all levels. I think how have we not developed a great league in this country with the talent? I think some of the things that Ugo Deswe or Bina Keze are doing with the ABL, I think that's really positive in trying to bring out basketball more in this country. Some of the things the federation does, like I think are positive, but we need to come out more. We need to go out into leagues and investigate more and see how our leagues run. And that's the great thing that the ABL is doing, is they're trying to even learn to see how are these operated, and it really doesn't take much, like to send somebody out to go and research and to start from scratch, whether you start very little. And we have to encourage youth competition. We don't do that here enough. And lastly, facilities in this country. I've said it, and I stand on the table, and I'm going to scream it out again. Our facilities are so poor, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but I don't know why the National Stadium has stood still since I left the country 20 how many years ago. It's still the same way.
Indoor facilities.
Indoor facilities, they are bad. All sports, and we cannot develop that way. We really have to look ourselves in the mirror, and it's a big challenge for us.